I don't mean to alarm you, but Everquest and the British are both doing something a little questionable.
They asked Britain what we should call it, and Britain spoke. Boaty McBoatface. Yeah, the minister in charge didn't like that idea.
Let's name this boat Boaty McBoatface, and let's see it as a monument to ministerial folly and a lesson to all those in positions of authority in ministries. For goodness sake, if you're going to try a bit of iDemocracy, think it through first.
Ever since Boaty McBoatface, I've wondered whether the idea of fan votes were a good idea. I even tested this theory by making an entirely fan vote award show called the Scuffed Game Awards, and as terrifying as that experience is, it must be an entirely different level to do so with a progression server. Which is exactly what Everquest is doing, at least with one of their progression servers. Running through January 15th, 2026, Everquest is taking fan votes on these special rule sets for one of the two planned Everquest progression servers. This one, Frostreaver, will be opening in May, and here's a little teaser of how the fan votes are going, how the Everquest community is reacting when asked what bonuses they want on these servers. Which ones do they want on the servers?
Bring me everyone. What do you mean everyone?
So yeah, we'll cover that in just a moment. That's the bulk of this video. But like I said, there are going to be two progression servers. The second one is going to be called Lothar, which we'll talk about in a second. But first, let's talk about Frosty McFrostface, the fan-voted progression server. Now, of course, they didn't allow complete and open discourse on everything when it comes to progression servers. You didn't really expect that they were going to ask, hey, do you want Chrono on this server, for example? They weren't going to do everything, right? Did you really think they would go there, for example? They're not going to rock that boat. Instead, they broke it down into basically three sections: special rule sets, bonuses, and expansion unlocks. For special rule sets, there are 8 different categories: true box, level locking, disabling item requirements, free trade, early item focus effects, PvP, experience gain rate, and encounter locking. Bonuses are broken down into challenge achievements, evolving bonuses, randomized loot, resource hunter bonuses, and legacy characters. Expansion unlock options were what expansions to start at, how often should expansions unlock after Planes of Power, Beast Lords and Berserkers at launch, if expansions should ever stop unlocking, if Legacy of Yakisha should unlock with Planes of Power, if Prophecy of Ro should unlock with Depths of Dark Hollow, if Gates of Discord should unlock faster, and if Dragons of Norath should unlock with Omens of War. Voting has been open since December 15th, and I wanted to check in on where things were going on the rule sets after they've had time to marinate a little bit and see what we're looking at, because we're actually pretty close to getting a really good idea of what the servers might be, still with a little bit of time to make some drastic changes if people rush to go vote. But let's start with the juiciest part, the rule sets. And this first one, I couldn't have asked for a better way to start the video. True box, because you see, this one is an interesting one, especially given a little asterisk that we'll get to in a sec, because at a glance it looks like it might be one being slaughtered by the way they laid out the options, with essentially 4 options that has some sort of true box rule set and one that has no true box. The latter, no true box, currently is running away with the vote at 50%, with the next closest being 1 client per computer, the standard true box at 15%. But I mentioned an asterisk. There is an addendum here that if the sum of the true box options is greater than the no true box, they will hold a runoff vote for what flavor of true box people want. And the time of making this script, I shit you not, no true box was sitting at 742 votes. The sum of true box options was sitting at exactly 742 votes. Literally anyone else could have gone and voted and changed what the outcome of this server would be, whether it would be true box or not true box, which might be the most consequential decision of the progression server. Juicy as hell, right? Who says that voting doesn't matter? Unless it's for the next thing, because the next thing, it doesn't matter for shit. It mattered initially, but it doesn't matter anymore. You're not gonna change this because level locking is pretty much done. Level locking is 80 to 20% no. Seems like people didn't really like level locking on Vaniki or more recently on Fangbreaker. They just don't like that shit. And there's not really enough time to make that up. Our next one though is going to be a new one. It's disabling item requirements. It's an interesting item change proposal here that would make some significant changes to how items work in Everquest post Lucklin, removing hard item level requirements and instead turning them into recommended level requirements. So those items will still hit like wet noodles at level 1, but they can gradually get better. A little bit better, bit by bit. This option is winning by 83% to 17% at the moment. So removing all those hard level requirements, giving you the option to wield those and get a little bit of benefit from those much higher level items and gradually make them a little bit better as you level up. But the next one is free trade. You know, basically the Furiona V, the whole idea of the Mischief server, the getting rid of the no drop of items, having raid drops be a very, very popular thing. And what the holy shit, really? I mean, okay. I was not expecting this result at all. With how much it shows up on forum posts and videos and global job. Of course it's winning. Like, of course it's winning 82% to 18%. It's gonna free trade. It's gonna be free trade on the thing. Yeah, I mean, it's like one of the most obvious things that was gonna win. Now, if you are old like me, if you have been playing Everquest like me, if you remember the Combine server, the Sleeper server, progression servers, you might remember when items had focus effects. And it doesn't even go back that far. There were other progression servers that had focus effects. But this next vote was about basically adding them back in, the early level focus effects, because those are currently disabled on progression servers to kind of even out so that casters aren't that powerful by having out of era focuses to make their spells more powerful, to make them cost less mana, that kind of thing. Well, the vote was to see, do we turn them back on? Well, now you too will probably get to see progression servers that aren't very balanced. Okay, less balanced than they were, because right now the vote to turn them back on is winning massively with 88% of the vote. So just prepare your DKP pools, or I guess more honestly, prepare your wallet with with free trade. Just get your PayPal accounts and your Visa cards ready. Probably shouldn't say that. The next one, I was kind of surprised they put it on here, but still they added one about PvP. And if you're a Care Bear like me, this was one that may have even been a little bit scary, but you don't have to worry because it's most likely not going to be PvP. No one is going to come and stab your sweet soft innards while you're camping frost goblins. The new server will not be a PvP server, barring some massive campaign. It's currently sitting at 78% no to 21% yes. Now, if we move on to the experience gain rate, well, the next one might actually end up being even more controversial than some of the others because it's not going quite how I'd expect. Perhaps owing to Everquest player base becoming more casual over the years, the current vote on experience gain over the three choices given between the classic Everquest rate, the progression standard rate, and live Everquest rate, the fastest rate, is heavily swinging toward the live Everquest rate, with 66% of the vote going for that fastest rate. So this could very well be, even before we get to some of the other crazy shit that this server is potentially going to have, the fastest progression server we have ever seen. Oh my God, wait till we get to some of the other shit, because my God. And lastly, one of the things that I'm kind of split on is because I've liked it and not liked it at different times is encounter locking. I think it's kind of tied to what happened with TrueBox. And encounter locking right now is probably one of the closest, it's one of the closest votes closest to the true box with like being able to swing if you go and vote on it right now. It's currently sitting at 59% yes and 41% no for having encounter locking on the server. I can see the arguments both ways, and honestly, if the true box and having no true box wins, I'm almost in favor of having encounter locking, because that kind of negates the DPS burn effect of having those big box armies. But I don't know. Basically, the real truth here is encounter locking or not, dicks are going to be dicks, and they're going to screw up your day whether it exists or not. I'm not wise enough to tell you which version makes it easier, but I'd lean towards encounter locking making it harder, since it does negate that additional DPS. So those are the special rule sets and where they're currently sitting. I mean, they're pretty much, I think, decided on a lot of them, except the true box. So if you feel very strongly about that, go vote on the true box. If you don't go vote now, you don't get to talk shit. Like, go vote. Like, at least like it doesn't take a lot to go vote. So just go do it. Let's get to the expansion stuff real quick so we can jump to the bonuses. So the bonuses are the really exciting stuff, the stuff that you're here for, and that I've been hinting at through this whole video. The expansion stuff is the boring shit. That's what this is like called a sneaky little YouTube trick for retention. Sorry, but that's why we're doing it here. But I'm not gonna like make you go through all this shit, because I don't think you care if certain expansions unlock with the same expansion. I don't think you care if Prophecy of Ro so we're just gonna talk about stuff that actually probably matters to you. Here's the highlights of those expansion votes as they stand. It is currently a very tight race for where the server should start. The trilogy currently has a narrow lead for the start. This would be Classic, Canark, and Velius to start, with Lucklin 18 weeks after that. And that is in the lead with 34.5% of the vote. Right behind that is an expanded start with 29.9% of the vote, less than 100 votes behind. Expanded start would have Shadows of Lucklin unlocked, but level locked at level 50, gradually unlocking to level 60 over 3 periods of 8 weeks. Basically what Fangbreaker has done. I'm not entirely sure how that works, with no level locking currently winning the rule set, so I don't know. The Dark Horse's standard or classic only launch at 21%. But the real razor thin margins are how fast expansions are going to be unlocking. Really, they're razor thin margins here. When I was writing this script, the one that was marginally in the lead, almost really a statistical tie, was the 4 to 8 weeks. So basically 4 weeks for non-level cap expansions and 8 weeks for level cap expansions. Really I think the standard one that most people are used to. And that one has 28.4% of the vote. Right behind it is the 8-week standards. So 28% of the vote, where every expansion would take 8 weeks. There were literally 5 votes at the time of writing that are separating these two options. So really, this could have already changed by the time that you're watching this. But the one that I'm the most excited about, because still my little berserker heart, you have all finally gifted me my dream of being an underpowered, shitty berserker that I always wanted to be. Because overwhelmingly, Beast Lords and Berserkers are favored to be available at launch 90% to 9.6%. For the 9.6% of you that don't like fun, you suck. Why do you hate fun? Finally, there is a runaway vote on the server continuing to unlock until live with 77.8% of the vote. There's no locking at Planes of Power. Sorry, that was a bad idea. It always was a bad idea. I think we proved that when that happened. But this video is already getting way too long, so let's jump into the really cool stuff, which is the crazy, ridiculous shit that we're going to be putting on this server. And it's a lot. Let's get into it. These are all the bonuses. Basically, what's the fun shit that's going to be on this server that makes it different? First is the challenge achievements, and it looks like it's going to be on the menu with 75% of the vote saying yes. So for all you EP wielders out there, account-wide awards will await you for taking on various challenges in the game, raid challenges, basically beating content at levels you aren't supposed to be able to. These are challenges that were introduced with the Viniki server and are basically from completing raids at lower levels. Kill Kazakh Thule at level 40, get unlimited low stat food item. Kill Yellonak at level 50, get a teleport to Western Waste. You get the idea, and these are account-wide. I've linked the challenges down below if you want to go see what you could get. I'm not doing that shit. I'm too old for it. But you might be. The rest of this stuff, though, is going to affect the entire server. Like evolving bonuses. One of the interesting things that the Oakwind progression server tried to do was the evolving bonuses. Essentially, the longer the server was around, the more bonuses it would pick up. Increased loot drops, experience bonuses, shorter NPC spawn timers, etc. And it's looking like these are going to get another chance to catch on because they're running away with the vote on this server with almost 88% yes on this vote to be added to the server. So we'll be getting those bonuses as the server goes on longer and longer with every expansion lock. This next one, I think, is probably going to happen, but it still has some wiggle room to not happen because it is one of the closer votes on this bonus sheet. Randomized loot is one of my personal favorite bonuses, but I also know it can be one of the more controversial ones. I think for me, it comes down to how much Everquest I have played, having sunk years and years into the game and stupid amounts of hours that I could have really better spent doing quite literally anything else, like reading books. So randomizing item drops instead of keeping them to the same NPCs adds some spiciness. And as it stands, it looks like about 65% of people agree with me. For anyone unaware of what this does, it randomizes the items on item tiers, so you won't be getting Sebulus loot in Kern's Tower, but it does spread out some rare drops across some easier places, so it does kind of like, it makes it a little bit easier to get some certain types of loot, but it also makes it so that you can't really camp specific items in specific places. You kind of have to just camp everywhere. Some people like and some people hate. So we've already got some bonuses on here. We potentially have randomized loot, but why not add more bonuses? Like, what about Resource Hunter? Resource Hunter is my absolute favorite thing from Fangbreaker. And if you haven't tried Fangbreaker, you may have missed out on this really cool feature. This is a thing that has kept me coming back to that server because it makes me hop around from zone to zone that I normally wouldn't go to, and it's currently a thing that's winning handily. Resource Hunter is winning with basically 88% of the vote right now. The too long didn't read of this is that every 24 hours, different zones will get bonuses to experience or coin drop or spawn rate or rare NPCs or faction gain or skill gain. You'll have to roam around to find which zone or use helpful websites that people create. But it's like having constant bonuses or hot zones, but they're always moving. They're moving every 24 hours. And sometimes the zones are not what you want them to be, but it does get you out of the same old loops you may have been doing for years. I personally love this just because it makes you go places you wouldn't normally, especially as the game expands and gives you into more zones. It's one of those things that I just really like, that it kind of pushes you out of the comfort zones, especially the zones that you know, like, I'm gonna go this route to level up that I've done for 20 years, you know? But wait, because there's more. We're not done getting bonuses yet, because there's another one that we gotta talk about, you know, because hey, let's have legacy characters. Because let's sprinkle on a little bit more experience on top of this. Our last bonus should complete our theme here of fan voting. Legacy characters are running away with the yes vote at 85%. Legacy characters are essentially a little experience bonus for maxing out a character. You do have to keep maxing out those characters and maintain the bonus, with each maxed out character adding 10% experience bonus to other characters on that account, or other personas. Not a huge bonus, but one nonetheless. The experience maxes out at 100%, so you can get up to double experience by maxing out 10 characters, but that would still take some doing, but there's plenty of people that will do it. Not the biggest thing, but it's still another little thing to sprinkle on top. But there you have it. When given the option, my God, do EverQuest players create the most easy mode loot bonanza EverQuest server ever created. Like, holy shit. This server has every single bonus imaginable with the fastest experience imaginable. I do wonder if this will become one of those moments where it's a careful what you wish for situation, but this is looking to be the most casual friendly EverQuest progression server that I've personally ever seen. I think my one hope is that the current 50-50 split goes in favor of some form of true box though. I'd really like to see that runoff vote, even if it's for some kind of relaxed true box or something. I still have nightmares about Mage Fire. Basically Rage Fire when it was overcome by mage box armies. It was bad, y'all. When you were in Plane of Hate and then you just started to lag because like 64 mages just came in and just destroyed shit, it sucked ass. Like, it was awful. So please, just a little bit of limit. A little limit. But before I let you go and be productive with your life, let me tell you one more thing about the second progression server, because they're doing some very smart things with this they haven't done in past years. First of them, they're not fucking launching them at the same time, although I still worry that they're still a little bit too close together. The second server, Lothar, isn't launching in May, it's going to be launching in August. The second smart thing that they're going to be doing with Lothar is they're not launching it in the same expansion. In fact, Lothar will be an expansion that an entire generation of EverQuest players have probably never seen, but is an expansion that was made specifically for a new EverQuest audience. The last expansion that launched for EverQuest that included a full level 1 to max experience, the Serpent Spine. This is EverQuest expansion that launched in 2006. For many EverQuest players, this is 2 or 3 years after they quit playing the game, so it opens up an entirely new era of the game for them. If you decide to go the route of the Serpent Spine, it is a very different type of experience because it's a single starting area. You all start in one city, but it is a fully contained level 1 to max experience, although you can of course go everywhere else. But if you want to, you can stay within that expansion, like from 1 to max. They add one other little wrinkle with this server, which could go honestly either way depending on how it's implemented. Personal loot. They don't provide any other details on this new rule set yet, only promising more details closer to launch, so we'll have to wait a few more months to see. But now I want to hear from you in the comment section below. Will you be playing Frosty McFrostface with all those bonuses that have been voted on there? I know I will. I want to see what it's like. With my limited time that I have now, like running 2 channels, this MMO channel, an RPG channel, writing books, having 3 cats, a beautiful wife, and just dying a little inside every day. Time gets away from you, you know, like stuff happens. So I could use something a little more casual. So I think I'll jump in there and litter the ground with corpses. But at least I'll be able to get my experience back pretty fast. My name is Edward Flynn. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.